and specifically to our strategic plan goals, Goal 1, that all students are proficient in showing growth in all assessed areas. So just to summarize these proposed revisions, the intent here is to address special programs in schools within the state that have not previously received a summative performance classification, also known as grade A through F, and to provide for the reporting of any available performance data for these schools and programs to both be consistent with federal requirements, but also to better inform the public of performance within these programs and schools that have not been previously reported on in the past. So one area is Business Rule 21, which the Commission may recall we had some revisions to in the year regarding child development centers. We're adding a section 21, or proposed to add section 21.2, that although we will not report a performance classification for these programs, that we would report any available indicators that we have for these programs that are included in the accountability system. So we're talking about proficiency rate, growth rate, any of those indicators that we have available data on. We would be looking at following the same rules that apply in the accountability system for any other school and report the data that's available, just not a summative score. Okay. Business Rule 23 addresses state and other special schools. So we're proposing to reinsert section 23.2, which previously existed to address Mississippi School for the Blind and Mississippi School for the Deaf. That section was removed previously when those schools were assigned performance classifications in the previous accountability year. So we're adding back to exclude the Mississippi School for the Blind and the Deaf and from receiving a summative performance classification, but assigning again those students, for federal accountability purposes, those students have to be included somewhere. They would be assigned back to their school and district of residence. And again, we would report performance data at the school level for the Mississippi School for the Blind, Mississippi School for the Deaf. And then 23.6 works to address early college high schools. So we've had some inconsistencies in the past as to how these schools are reported, whether they're reported as a separate school or students are being attributed back to their resident school and district. So we wanted to include this in the business rules to standardize that. So we're creating 23.6 to include early college high schools and to provide that those students will be assigned back to their school and district of residence, but again to report performance data at the school level for those programs regarding accountability indicators.
3.6.1 simply spells out what I understand is the current practice, isn't that right?
Well, so I've talked with the Office of Technology and Strategic Services regarding this. We kind of had a mixed bag. So some students have been enrolled at their residence district school but are attending an early college high school. And in some cases, one case we had an early college high school that was being reported as a separate school. So we're kind of wanting to standardize what the practice is here, how we will treat these schools, and then again to provide for some reporting of performance measures for these programs. So that's the extent of the changes I have. So if we have questions, I'll be glad to assist.
Unintended consequence for those schools who have reported these early college students as a standalone because the other mapping them to their school of residence is what I believe should be the practice, and that's what you're articulating. But I not being an educator, I don't know if there's an impact on school.
Right, and we've got secondary education here to help address your.
There is a change in the policy now because it was mixed up. It was mixed the way it was done. There was no policy. And so we've brought the policy that has been moving forward and has had changes based on the feedback from the districts. We want to make sure that there aren't negative consequences. We're working very closely actually with people in the field because we want innovative programs to work. And we want them to be able to highlight the best things. The problem with the schools really that are in this business rule are mostly the regional early college high schools. Most of the districts have switched on their own because it's within their district, so it was easier for them just to switch back and move those kids back to their resident because it made more sense through accountability to have those kids mixed back in with their performance results.
It does, and I'm aware of all the advantages of doing
Yes.
so.
Yes.
But
yes.
what I'm not aware of is for those exceptions that currently report as a standalone.
Right.
If they now are consistent with this policy, what's the ramification on them that might be negative?
Right,
I don't
right.
know.
And that's what we're trying to figure out. The early college high schools, those children have already transferred out. So those students are considered students of the early college high school. The policy is going to allow that moving forward, those students remain the students in their home districts, which will make it much easier, I think, for both data and for accountability. But we didn't want the unintended consequences for those regionals that are doing great work. We had.
What would be some of those potential negatives?
Recruiting, that's one of the.
Like it doesn't suddenly get rid
Funding
of a
is the
principal or
biggest.
something. Yeah.
The money is the biggest issue, okay? The money is the biggest issue in those. So that's what we're working on now, is trying to figure out how to work the money issue. In fact,
Because they will be actually ADA of the resident schools. So
Exactly.
that facility will not basically have zero ADA. And it will be up to the local agency, LEAs, to coordinate and send the allocations to that.
right.
And it would, that facility, I would assume, then would have no performance classification because it really would not,
Right,
it would have
right,
zero students.
Right, but they do have a separate reporting where they report how many dual credit, how many associate degrees, how many kids are participating, all of those, which give great performance measures too, but they're just not in our current.
Part here.
Right.
Numbers
Yes,
are
ma'am.
available, but
And it's actually spelled out in the policy too.
Okay. Which 6.2, explain to me what we're talking about when we say that the data will be reported for those facilities. When you say that will be reported, tell me what that looks like. Would it be reported to the LEAs, or will it be reported to the public?
It's going to be reported to the public, and it will be in the superintendent's annual report, and that's spelled out in the policy.
Okay.
So like this year was the first year that we did those reports, and I sent all of the information. So Dr. Wright had all of the information on how many dual credit courses early college high schools had earned, how many associate degrees those children earned, all of those things. So that reporting is already in process. We did the first year last year before the policy came out. So we kind of know how that's going to work. And it will be reported not on the report cards, but in Dr. Wright's annual report.
and similar with the school for blind and deaf. That's the same means that it would be reported.
Don't know how those are.
I had a
done.
similar question there, it just said it'd be
it's,
publicly
the
available.
wording, the wording is exactly the same,
Is
so
it?
therefore it doesn't matter which one you, that's what I was.
Right. It's not in my policy, though. That's not in the policy that we're working on for districts of innovation. I'm just not really sure.
I'm specifically looking like at the MSA, the School of the Arts, where their core classes are taught. They're paying for the teachers and doing all that, but they get no credit for the success of the students. How, I mean,
Talking about at the Mississippi School for the
School for the
Arts
Arts.
level. So that's part of the. It's
That
not a
district
it's not a
reimbursed?
reward or punishment kind of thing. To the extent of we want to report to the public how well these programs and schools are doing. So we want to send the students back to their residence school and district like we do already for the Mississippi School for the Arts for accountability purposes. But we still want to report how well those students are doing in that school, which hasn't currently been the practice. So we have it
On any available indicator.
yeah, on the indicators that are available, because I mean that's going to be a challenge with Mississippi School for the Arts, Mississippi School for Math and Sciences. Those are 11th and 12th graders. A lot of those subject area tests have already been taken.
They would have
Acceleration,
graduation,
rate.
college and career readiness piece with the ACT that's administered to juniors. That's the only ones I can think of. Oh, and
But
Maybe
U.S.
U.S. history.
and what was talked about earlier as far as reporting, there's certainly the academic side of reporting that you discussed, but on the accountability side, we do want for a parent who has a student that's attending one of those programs or schools to be able to go to the report card and put in the name of the school and have results come up. So the intent is to include these in the report cards at the state level. So these would not be identified in federal accountability for school improvement identifications. The way that we're meeting federal requirements is attributing these schools back to their resident school and district.
they graduate from that individual school, or like would they
Yeah.
because I know they have MSMS graduations and MSC.
Right. In those
The
cases.
early college high schools, they're going to get their diploma from their resident school with a foil indicator of early college high school graduate. Those are
governed
state
schools.
board but governed schools.
So currently MS and MSA have a separate graduation rate that's reported. Right.
All right, so I want to go back to, okay, I understand that. Let's go for the Mississippi School for the Blind or Deaf, or CDC. Tell me what that reporting of the data would look like. In other words, that sentence there, I don't understand. So tell me what that would look like.
So for the available indicators, they would have data for those. For the performance classification, there would basically be an NA. And any indicators that we don't have available data for would be an NA. So
Language
Or an in count,
proficiency,
correct.
or yeah,
Or the appropriate in count for.
proficiency
using the
row.
summation of 3 prior years.
Yeah, I mean we're going to follow the current business rules, right?
So you'd have language proficiency, correct? Math proficiency, growth, and
Right.
all of those indicators, right?
Right. There's any indicator that we are able to calculate.
Right. And so they would have those items there. And that would be sent out to the public and made public on the website. Okay. All right. I've got another question. Just the performance classification of NA. Well, and I'm going there. The proficiency level in some of these facilities will always be 0. I can pretty much guarantee, because they take the map A. Okay, not all of them in all facilities, but in some of these facilities that rule is there will be, they take the map A is the only map A, which is 3 levels. All right. And you're saying that will be reported. Just won't have a grade. So that is this. So you're going to report that this facility, 0% is proficient, 0% is proficient in math, 0% is proficient in language. Now, let me ask you, have we disaggregated for growth the performance levels? Because there's only 3 in Math A versus 5 in math. Okay, to be proficient, you only have to score in the top 2 in math, but you have to score in the top proficient level in Math A. Has there been any correlation or a study done to make these to do growth? Because calculating growth with math, you have split levels that you can calculate growth with, but not in Math A.
Yes, the task force took that up at the last meeting. I believe it's May 29th.
Technical Advisory Committee, TAC.
So that's been done.
So Math A will have a conversion to 8 growth levels to be consistent with math.
Okay, great. Thank you, Miss Jones. Where are you located? Thank you. Well, we hope everything's okay. All right, is there any other discussion? Questions from the commission? Okay. All right, item 9, consideration of recommendation to submit requests to the State Board of Education Eight was the discussion. 9's the action. Okay. Sorry about that. I'll repeat. Consideration of recommendation to submit request to the State Board of Education to begin the Administrative Procedures Act process to revise the business rules of the Mississippi Statewide Accountability System to include the Mississippi School for the Blind and the Mississippi School for the Deaf, early college high schools, and university-based high schools, and to provide for the reporting of available performance measures for these schools as well as child development centers. At this time, I'll entertain a motion. Okay. Motion by Ms. Barfield. Second by Mr. Montgomery. Is there any discussion?
So basically, I have a discussion. If if we look at this and report this as outlined, the only difference that we have for those centers is they'll still get reported with all the zeros in there, and the only difference will be taking the performance classification of an F off and made public. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, we would, but we also would be adding some that have not previously been reported to the report card. So early.
My understanding that on the schools of innovation, the early college high schools, they will not be there because the policy is turning them into programs. They will not be schools. The policy is making them a program, kind of like what we were discussing earlier. For the next 3 years, there will be the ones that have transferred out in the regional models that will have students in the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade that is still school-based, that has a different funding mechanism, not transfer students. So they will not be.
I totally understand. There is a lot of rules change in this one item. And I totally understand everything. I totally understand the early college, all of that program, the school of math, the deaf and blind. Totally understand that. Send that back, and I understand reporting. The data, because it's very important. We get the data right now, and we understand that, and we continue to work. But that's why I wanted to know what the data to whom? To the public. You're publicizing this, that you've got facilities that will have 0% proficiency. That is what the issue that I have. Some will, some won't. So we've got a wide variety in this one motion that I'm just having some heartburn with.
Fine, this is a proposal to begin the APA process. This still has to go through the state board, and it still has to go through the public comment period to be final. And this is in response to a request from the state board for us to look at these rules and look at how we can not assign performance classifications, but yet have the public, whether it be parents or teachers or leaders, know the performance of the students that are within these programs or schools.
So when you publicize this, that's one of those issues, and that's what I said. What is it going to look like? Because I can see different things. You say make available, every one of them are made available because every parent gets their report, their test results and everything, so they should be aware of it. But collectively, what it is, it's all right.
We do still have a motion on the table and a second. Is there any other discussion? Okay, members that are present, all in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Members on the phone, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. All right, item 10, we have an information item. Revisions to accreditation policies of the State Board of Education and the Mississippi Public School Accountability Standards 2019.
Okay, so on this item, there's no backup material. There's nothing for you to look at. This is just strictly an update to let you guys know that internally we are working on some proposed revisions to the policies. Policies 1 through 7 of the accountability standards. So that will be coming forward to you at some point, hopefully in the next few weeks, for you to look over before you vote on it. We're spending a lot of time internally working on that document. The hope is to be able to clarify some of the processes that we've had in place in terms of appeals for the assignment of accreditation standards, as well as the appeals process for the performance classification standards, the hearing process. Let me think. I know I'm forgetting some more details. Do what now? Yeah, districts responding to complaints, complaints that we get in the office, what that would look like, what our responsibilities are for notifying districts, for anonymous complaints. Like I said, just simply simplifying some areas and clarifying what that process looks like. And as soon as, do I know? Schools, oh, that's right, schools at risk, CSI, TSI designation. Some of that language has changed in ESSA, and so we're needing to update the language in those policies to reflect that language update.
Actually, in pages 1 through 14 of the accountability standards document. It's the policies that are basis of operation.
As soon as we get through internally looking at that and having some stakeholders look at it, then we'll push it to you guys for review. And tsunami that's coming your way.
All right, item 11. Per policy, the commission is required to annually elect a chair and vice chair for the commission. So at this time, I will open the floor for nominations for the position of chair of the Commission on School Accreditation. We got 2019, 2020.
1920 sounds so funny.
One at a time for chairperson. I nominate Heather Wester.
Not a motion or second, yeah.
Thank you.
But we heartily endorse that nomination.
Okay, so Heather Westerfield is nominated for chair. Are there any further nominations? Okay, if none, nominations. Vote, okay. Members present, all in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. I am sorry. We actually need a motion.
I move to accept the nomination of Heather Westerfield as chair for the 2019-2020 year.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, members present, all in favor? Opposed? Members on the phone, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Okay, I will now open the floor for nominations for vice chair for the Commission on School Accreditation, 2019-2020. He is. He's not.
I think he's got one more year.
Oh, is it another year?
I'm
I
almost
don't know why I
positive
was
it's one
thinking
more
it was
year.
a couple of months, but I was thinking. Oh, it is another year.
That's, yeah.
Prather has been nominated for vice chair. Are there any other nominations? Okay, if none, nominations are closed. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Right there as vice chair.
Have a second? I heard Dr. Martin.
What do you want me to
I
record?
heard Dr. Martin. Any discussion? Okay, members present, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Members on the phone, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. All right, item 12, approval of the meeting dates for the 2020 school year. I believe we have that. Tab 12. That. I will entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Ms. Barfield,
Second, Sarah Foster.
by Ms. Foster. Is there any discussion? Members present, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Members on the phone, all in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries. All right, item 13, other business. At this time, we would like to thank Ms. Ann Jones for her service on the commission. Ms. Jones has been a commission member since 2010 and has fulfilled one unexpired term as well as 2 full terms on the commission. So, Ms. Jones, thank you so much for your years of service on the commission. We will miss you down here, of course. Stop by and visit. Is there any other visit? Thank you, Ms. Jones. Is there any other business, Dr. Malone?
Just as an update, and so you're aware, Mr. Miller did resign, although his term would have been expiring this time. He resigned. We do have some appointments that'll be going to the commission, to the state board, hopefully for appointment, so that we'll have some spots filled. I'd also like to take a moment to introduce some new accreditation staff members that you are probably seeing some new faces. Angela Kitchens, if you would wave. Angela is new to the accreditation staff. She started, I guess it's about 2 or maybe 3 months ago. Also not here today with us is Melissa Biggs. She is also part of the accreditation staff. She had a family commitment today. And he's not here right now, and he may kill me later, but just so you know, you can, if you see him in the hallway, Mr. John Cartwright, that has worked with us for quite a while, will be retiring, so be sure you bid him a proper farewell too. And I believe that's all I have on my notes. Anybody else has anything?
Item 14, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second? Very good. Any discussion? All right, members present, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Members on the phone, all in favor? Opposed? And we stand adjourned at 11:07.